Hey, and welcome back to the Corona Files with John Warren. In this episode, we're going to be talking about keyword research for high-ticket dropshipping businesses and what is the best way to do keyword research. Why do we want to do it, and why am I doing it at this stage of the process? So if you're coming in on this episode for the first time, of course, the Corona Files is a series of episodes of videos where I'm walking through setting up some new high-ticket dropshipping businesses for myself. At the same time, I'm also doing it for some clients of mine during the coronavirus lockdowns and enforced working from home and all that sort of thing in 2020. And that is why, of course, I am in with the backdrop of this magnificent shed, my luxurious surroundings at the moment. And of course, this series is really just a chance for me to share, I guess, the practices that I've developed over 6 years of dropshipping while I'm actually doing it, what I'm thinking about at the time, to give you insight into running and setting up these businesses yourself. So in the last episode, I talked a bit about what's the general marketing strategy that I'm pursuing for high-ticket dropshipping businesses, what traffic channels do I focus on, and all of that sort of thing. And I love to start thinking about this stuff when I'm still building out the actual websites, getting the products on board and all of that sort of thing. You want to get a head start on this stuff. There's no point waiting until your business is fully set up and everything to start thinking about and planning and putting things in place for your marketing, right? You want to be able to hit the ground running straight away. And so there are various marketing things that I do for each business before it's even open live to the public. So the first thing I do is keyword research. And this is really the start of all of my marketing. So with high-ticket dropshipping businesses, we're very focused on search engine marketing, both paid traffic through Google Ads, as well as organic search traffic or SEO through the Google, Bing, Yahoo, any search engine. And so the fundamentals for doing both of those things successfully is keyword research. If you don't do keyword research and you go out and try and rank your site organically, or run a lot of paid ads on search networks, you're not going to do it very effectively, particularly in the case of trying to develop organic rankings and organic traffic. You really cannot do that properly without knowing what search terms you're targeting. But it goes further than that. Knowing what search terms you want to target also then helps with all sorts of things like developing your content strategy. And you'll know, if you saw the last episode, that I'm very big on content marketing for these businesses. So doing this keyword research then starts to put some meat on the bones of what content is going to get produced for these sites, in what order, and when various things are going to happen. It's also going to start giving me some insight into what sort of links I need to build for my businesses, how many backlinks I need to pursue, how long certain strategies are going to take to develop. And so you really need to do this. And I think a lot of people, when they start these businesses, miss this step at this point. They don't do proper keyword research until sometime down the track. And that kind of, I think, slows people down a little bit. So as I'm going through this, of course, if you are watching along live on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to ask any questions. Just all you need to do is leave a comment and I'll see it before the end. And I will, of course, answer those live if I can. If I don't get to it live, I'll answer later. So feel free, if you're watching on replay, to leave any questions you have about this stuff. So I'm actually going to walk you through how I do the keyword research. I'm going to screen share this up. I'm going to talk through it if you're listening on audio as well. But keyword research kind of comes in two parts. The first one is, gathering the data on, all of the various keywords that exist within your niche. And then the second step is analyzing that and working out what that data means to you. So I'm going to do this in two parts over 2 episodes. In this first one, I'm just going to show you how I go and collect the data that I'm going to use and store it. And then we're going to come back to this in a future episode, and I'm going to actually walk you through, okay, so what does that data tell me? What does it mean? How do I sort of segment that data and then use it? So when we're thinking about keywords, there's really two ways I come at the keyword research for a high-ticket dropshipping business. I guess there's 3 groups of keywords that I'm going to start researching. And really what I'm trying to do here is discover all of the keywords that exist in the niche that are related to the products and the brands that I'm going to sell, right? So what you need to do as a first instance, whenever you start doing keyword research to find keyword ideas, is of course you need to start with what I call root keywords, or some people would call them sort of head keywords. And that's kind of the basic keyword that you're using, which you're then going to find all of the variations and longer tail keywords, which are, you know, keywords with 3 or more words in them that are based off those sort of root keywords. And so for me, the place I start with that for one of these businesses is, of course, with the basic name of the product types that I'm going to sell on my business. The next one I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at the basic brand names of those products that I'm going to sell on my business. And then the third element of my keyword research is going to be researching what search terms my competitors already rank for. And that's a great piece of research to do, because if your competitors have ever had an active SEO strategy or something like that, then they're likely targeting keywords that they know generate revenue. And so that will give you some insight, or can give you some insight into where the quality search terms are that you could also try to rank for or advertise on. So those are kind of the 3 elements that I'm pulling down here. Now, what that means is that if you've got a very specific niche, or you're looking at a very specific niche where you only sell one or two main product types, then this is going to be a fairly basic set of research. It's not going to take you too long. There's not going to be a ton of data. Whereas if you're going for a broader site, like I happen to be, you're going to have a lot of elements to this. You know, if you've got a lot of different types of products you want to sell, then, you know, you're going to have quite a bit of keyword research that you need to pull out. But once you've got a system for this, if you happen to work with a virtual assistant, for example, they can do this for you. You can also outsource this. And what I'll do is I will put a link up with this video to a Fiverr gig that I've used in the past to do my keyword research for me. So somebody can pay a fairly low amount of money. They'll go out and just basically do the process that I'm going to walk you through anyway. So if you want to get access to that link and anything else that goes along with this, of course, go to buildsellgrowrepeat.com/corona-files. You can sign up there for free and get access to every episode of the Corona Files recordings as I'm going through it. There's lots more to come, and you can watch all the videos in there on demand and get all of the other little attachments and things that I've been talking about throughout the video. So check that out. All right, so we're going to get on here and look at this. So I'm just going to bear with me here, share up this here screen, and here we go. All right, so I'm going to pull off from the site that I've talked about that I'm demonstrating here, my site where I'm going to be selling parts, accessories for caravans, RVs, boats, camper trailers, and a few other things, right? So there's a lot of different product types within this niche. So I'm only going to pull up one of those product types to demonstrate here for you on the live video, and that's going to be I'm going to look for caravan fridges or caravan refrigerators. So small fridges, you know, that go inside caravans. There's, you know, a range of specific products that are made specifically for that purpose. And that's going to be one of the product types, one of the root product types on my high ticket dropshipping business. So, you know, my root term here is caravan. You know, if you're in another country, it might be RV fridge, but in Australia, we tend to use caravan more than RV. So caravan fridge. So from there, to do your keyword research, you need to use keyword research tools. And there's quite a few of these out there, right? And they vary in price and depth and all of that sort of thing. So I'm just going to show you some of the more entry-level ones, because that's where most people start off with high-ticket dropshipping, and one of the more expensive ones, just to sort of show you the difference. But you don't need to get this process running. You don't need to use one of the more expensive ones. So me personally, I use a combination of SEMrush and Ahrefs, and I'll put the links to those in with the video. But they are a bit more expensive. You know, you're looking at least $100 a month to use those tools, possibly more depending on what features you need. But I do a lot of SEO, and I work with clients and all this sort of thing. So I use those things on a day-to-day basis anyway. And, you know, I carry the cost of those because I definitely get the return on investment for those. But when you're starting out, you don't need to use that. So there's a free tool I'm going to show you, Google Keyword Planner. which is in the Google Ads platform. Now, you do need to sign up for a Google Ads account to get access to that, but you can do that for free. You don't actually need to start running ads to do that. And if you're starting one of these businesses, you're gonna have one of those accounts anyway. You're gonna need to open one anyway, so you might as well go ahead and do that. The other tool I'm gonna use is Ubersuggest, ubersuggest.com, which is a paid tool, but it's very cheap. So it's like $10 a month or something like that, which is definitely worth it. You're gonna get the value from using that tool. So that's what I'm going to mainly demonstrate the platform I'm mainly going to demonstrate this video on for you. So let's go, straight in. I mean, you can even start doing some free keyword research, right? So if I go into Google and put in caravan fridge, I can now start seeing what on Google Auto Suggest, as you see on the screen now. Google will automatically show some of the most popular variations of my main keyword that people make that actually get searched in my country. So I'm demonstrating this in Australia, by the way. So you always need to bear in mind whatever country you're in you'll need to use within the tools that I show you. So I can see here, and this may give me, using these auto suggest, it's pretty cool because while I know what my root term is, I may want to do some further keyword research on some variations. So if I see some good variations on my root terms, I might also use those variations in some of the keyword tools to further fill out my keyword research. So I can see, looking here, there's some good terms, and I can also start to see what some of the types of search terms that are made are here. So we have commercial search terms, we have informational search terms, we have navigational search terms. And obviously for an e-commerce site, I primarily want to be targeting things that I think have a commercial result at the end of them. But I'm also interested in informational search terms. That's people who are searching for information, because I am going to produce content. And my content is going to rank for those informational search terms. But what I don't tend to want is people who are searching for services or navigational search terms. So a navigational search terms is people who are looking to buy a product in a particular place or something like that. Service-based is, you can see here, caravan fridge repairs, right? Now, I'm not really going to try and rank for that search term because my e-commerce business is not involved in caravan fridge repairs. But I can see here there's some good ones. Caravan fridge for sale, I may work off that. Caravan fridge freezer, these are people who are looking for products, and that's good. The other thing I can do, you can do the same thing as this on YouTube, by the way. So YouTube has an auto suggest feature in it. You can do it in Bing to give you just an idea of what people are actually searching. So just in a free sense to get the ball rolling. The other thing you can look at is down here at the bottom of a Google search result page. So if you actually search for your root term, you're going to see some ads and stuff, and that's all cool. But right down the bottom, it says searches related to caravan fridge. These are also searches that have a reasonable amount of volume behind them, right? And I can see here, I start to see probably the most common ones down here are branded search terms that relate to caravan fridges. And so this is actually giving me some great insight into what brands my future customers are searching for when they want to buy one of these products. And there's really, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brands here, which is a good sign for me, right? I'm going to be able to get some of those brands onto my high ticket dropshipping business and sell them. And I know that people are already making searches that are relevant to them. So I'm going to be able to target these search terms. This is a competitor one. They probably have their own private label version, I think. So, I mean, that's good. And I can do further research off this if I want to, and I will do some of that for my target brands. So that's just an interesting way you can sort of start getting some insight into the keywords and search terms that are used within your niche without paying any money at all. And it can give you some interesting insight into what the customers are searching for. But the main thing we want to do here is use our tools. And of course, we're going to have to record our data. So where I'm going to record this, I'm going to record all of my data that I pull out of the keyword tools in a spreadsheet, of course. And I'm going to got a Google sheet here, which starts off just as a blank sheet, right? And I've already pre-filled something in here. But it's just a sheet, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new tab, a new sheet for each search term, each root search term that I'm going to use, as well as one for each of my main competitor sites, right? And I'm basically just going to export the data from the keyword research tool into the sheet. Super simple. The reason that I'm doing that is because I want to be able to have this data in a platform where I can easily manipulate it, where I can sort it, where I can, highlight various things I want to focus on. And I don't want to have to go into a keyword research tool and, stuff around with those every single time I want to look up keyword data. I also want to have it in a central place that I can potentially share with my team down the track. And even if you're an individual working by yourself in the beginning, you may want to share this data with somebody down the track, whether it's an agency you might work with, a VA that you might get to help you with SEO work down the track. So you want to start storing this stuff, pulling it out of the tools you use and storing it. So I'm going to show you how I do that as we go through. But the first place you can use, of course, the first free tool is in Google Ads. It's the keyword planner that I mentioned. So the keyword planner is great because it's free, and it's also great because it's actually Google's data, right? And we're using these search terms to market our business through Google primarily. So their data presumably would be the most correct, but it is a bit limited in that it's only going to show you search volume, really, and some of the estimated bids that you might pay for search text ads. And I'll highlight, not shopping ads. These prices you see on here, some people mistake that and think that's going to relate to Google shopping ads. It actually doesn't. It relates to primarily search text ads, as does the volume, really, more closely. So, but it's great because it's giving you numbers that you would assume are pretty accurate. And so this is a great tool to use to generate keyword ideas off your root search terms, right? So basically, you just come in here, you find it once you open a Google Ads account, you'll find it in the tools and settings. It's in here, keyword planner. So you just click into there. It'll ask you to put in a keyword to get the ball rolling. I searched up caravan fridge, which is my root term, and I get this nice little trends, search volume trends thing. I can see it's relatively fairly stable. It's probably because it's a little bit seasonal. It goes up at one point of the year and down. That's not unusual. And then it gives me the data for the root term. So I can see there's 1,900 average monthly searches. That's fine. It's in Australia, remembering, so we have a small population. That's fine with me. And then it's going to give me all of the keyword ideas that it thinks are related to that Google thinks are similar keywords or based off of that sort of root term. And I can just sort these a little bit by average monthly searches. And I can see then that there's branded terms coming up here. There's non-branded terms. And these, there's a lot of good terms here that I might want to rank my site on, right, or produce content for, or might rank collection pages for, all that sort of business. But at this point, I'm not really worried about what is this telling me, right? I just want to get the data. And so I could start here by exporting this data, download keyword ideas up here. And this data, this information about the bids and things like that is also useful. So I do want to grab that as well. That'll come out if I export this data. And I'll come back to what that means and how that's useful in the next episode on keyword research. But I'm actually not going to use this primarily. As I say, if you don't want to pay for anything, you can do it. You can get a decent amount of data out right here. Okay, and this is free, as I said. All you got to do is open a Google Ads account. Now, if I want more data, I can go to a tool, Ubersuggest, which is owned by Neil Patel, a bit of a SEO guru guy, very good at it. And, for many years, this was just a tool that pulled data out of Google, auto-suggest, but now it's been filled out a lot more and it does a lot more. So once again, as I said, it does carry a small cost. If you want to get all of the data out of it, it's very cheap. So I do recommend you sign up because it's a good entry-level SEO research tool primarily. And it gives you on top better than the keyword planner, Google's keyword planner. It gives you additional data about search terms that is useful in the analysis stage of your keyword research. So when you log in, you come to the overview tab, or you can go into the keyword ideas tab here on this left-hand vertical menu and put in your root term. So caravan fridges again. You have to choose the country you're in. So it'll by default should do the US, but if you're in another country, of course, select your country and hit search. And what it's going to give you is some headline figures about this, and you'll see this did match up perfectly with Google, which is good. And then what these tools, these SEO research tools, start to introduce is a couple of metrics. SEO difficulty, and the name of this will vary a little bit from tool to tool. So like SEMrush, Ahrefs call these things slightly different names, but they all have these. They'll have a paid difficulty, and once again, it'll estimate the cost per click to run a paid ad on this search term. It'll give us, nice little graphs here about trends and things like that in search volume, which are interesting to look at. And then it'll give us a similar table to what was in the Google Keyword Planner, except it's adding in these columns of search difficulty and paid difficulty. And I want to be able to get this data about search difficulty out, because SEO is going to be such a big thing for me. This will help me make some decisions about what search terms I'm going to focus on or research more at a higher level. So in here, I can click Get All Keyword Ideas, and it's going to take me to a different window where I can get the full list of search terms that it thinks are related and all of those extra data points for me. This tool, as well as other tools, also has little features where you can look at questions related to your root keyword. So questions are great for creating content for. So they are good to pull out. Sometimes you can just go down to these if you want to find ideas for content. That's a little bonus tip for you if you're struggling to know what to write about, right? If you want to develop content, you're struggling to know what to write about, come in and look at one of these SEO research tools and find the questions section. That they all have them in slightly different ways. And look, how do caravan fridges work? Do caravan fridges have to be level to work? Do caravan fridges need regassing? That's not a good one. So some search terms will have more or less questions associated with them, but and these ones have very little volume. So I'm not actually going to do these, but if I was trying to come up with content ideas for my site, this is one of the tools I would be looking at, is how do caravan fridges work? I could write a piece of content about that, explain to people how caravan fridges work. That's going to be a top to middle of the funnel type of thing, and some of those people are going to end up buying a caravan fridge. But anyway, I want this data here. So the other cool thing that this does is it gives me an overview of what sites are actually ranking for this search term, right? So this is actually a reflection of, if I put this search into Google, generally, I'm going to see sites rank like this, and it starts to give me some cool sort of information about how many links those pages have, what their domain score is, etc., which is all good to know about at some point, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So first thing I want to do is I can either copy this data to my clipboard, I can export it to a CSV, and it's going to give me a spreadsheet, of course, which is going to open up here. I could just do a select all, of course, copy, and then come back into my Google Sheet here and paste it in. And it's going to paste in the columns and everything. I already had it in here, but it's just pasted it again with all of my data. And so now I've got the data for my root term of caravan fridge, and that's all I need to do for now. So then I would go on, I'd add another little tab down here, and I'd think about, okay, so what's going to be my next root term that I want to do? Maybe it's going to be, maybe I'm going to do caravan cover. That's another product type I'm going to sell on my store. So caravan covers, root term, I'm going to give that a name, and I'm going to come back into Ubersuggest, and now I'm going to go for caravan cover, and I'm going to go through the process again, exactly the same process. I'm going to wait for it to think about its data, and I've got all of this, search terms related to caravan cover. I'm going to export that to CSV. I'm going to go through the process. I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to add another tab. I'm going to do my next root term. So that's the process that I'm going to go through at this stage. Now, as I say, we're going to come back and say, okay, so now I've got all this data. What does it mean? What am I going to do with it? How am I going to use this? We're going to come back to that in our next episode on keyword research and actually dive into that in more detail. Now, so you want to do that for all of your product type root terms, which is what the product type is most commonly called. I would also do that for some of the big brand names in my niche. So I'd have a root term of the brand names. So, for example, Evercool is a common brand that I'm going to want to get on. So, and this is based on, at this point, I don't have these brands approved necessarily, or I may not yet. So you're just doing this off your list of suppliers that you want to have on your store. So if I put in Evercool into here, I'm going to get to start, because with high ticket dropshipping stores, often you're selling branded products. And so you want to rank for the branded product terms. And I can start to see, okay, so here's all the search data on this brand and what people are searching for relating to this brand. So I see Evercool fridges, TravelMate, which is probably a model, drawer fridge, icebox, FridgeMate. Okay, that's all cool stuff. I would pull this out and put this into a tab in my spreadsheet for Evercool. Now, the final thing that I want to do is I want to look up the search terms that my competitors are currently ranking for. And I want to put this into my spreadsheet as well. So you come back in Ubersuggest back to the overview here. You can't do this in Google's keyword plan or anything like that, right? So you do need one of the SEO tools to do this bit. So I'm going to put in a competitor URL that I know, caravansplus.com.au is a competitor. I'm going to hit search, and this is going to give me some a different data pane that comes up here. So it's going to now give me their organic, some of their organic traffic data that's estimated by this tool, and its crawlers, its spiders. I can see that they rank for 75,000 organic keywords. They get over 100,000 visits a month organically. So in Australia, that's pretty good. Their domain score is not super high though, which is always an interesting thing to look at. When people start using these SEO tools, they look at the domain authority, domain score, and they go, oh, it's really low. That means I must be doing really badly. 24 is not a high domain score. This is a lot of traffic though. So this is a good result for them. They're making a lot of money off this. And they have a ton of backlinks. So don't get too hung up on things like domain scores, domain authority. It's not an indicator of profitability, of how much money you're making, or necessarily of how much traffic you're generating. This is not a Google metric, domain authority or domain score. People make the wrong assumption when they first use these tools that those scores and those rankings of your page correlates actually to what Google thinks of your site. There's no connection. This is a purely made up data point by Ubersuggest. The domain authority metric in Ahrefs is purely made up by Ahrefs and their little algorithm they use to calculate that. It bears no correlation to what Google thinks of your site, which is where you're actually trying to get people to see your page. So I don't like to get too hung up on these. It can be cool to see if they're going up over time, and it can be an interesting metric. There is something to it. It's a great metric to use to try and work out where you want to get a backlink from, for example, but don't obsess over it, over where yours is currently at, because that's not really a measure of success or making money. So what I want to get, this gives me a lot of data about this, this domain, this competitor, which is very useful to me, but I don't need it all right now, right? What I want to get to is what keywords are these guys actually ranking for? And so if I scroll down on Ubersuggest here, I can see SEO keywords. I can start to see what search terms they are ranking for, and I can click on this button here to get the full list, which takes me back to this window that we saw before, and I can export this full list of all the search terms that this site ranks for, and put it into my sheet. Once again, this is going to give me some interesting insight into, one, possibly what are they selling a lot of, or what are popular products or brand names that people are already buying online. And I can look at that and say, well, have I planned to put those things onto my site? Do I have those brand names already on my supplier list? And if not, can I go out and get those things? So, one of the big ones they're ranking for here, they're only in position 6, but Road Tech Marine, which is, I guess it's a brand name. Now, that's not on my list right now. Actually, it's actually not. So I need to go and explore who is this, right? What's this brand? It's got decent volume behind it for Australia. I might want that. It sounds like it might be a fit for my niche and my site. So I want to go and look at that brand, see what the products are, and if they look like the right sort of products, I want to add them to my supply list and go out and find that. But also, this is giving me insight into where they're getting, what products are generating their organic traffic. And these guys do have an active SEO strategy. I can tell it from looking at their site. So they will be purposefully targeting some of these search terms that are in the top of their list. And so I know that probably means for them, there's money in those search terms. And it would be a good idea for me to have a strategy around how I'm going to put my site in front of people who are making those search terms. So once again, I will just at this point go through the process of exporting to CSV and then copying that into my Google Sheet in this tab here, which I've set up, and I just set it up with the competitor's URL on here, and I'll put in the search terms. And that's the start of my keyword research. That's all I'm going to do at this point. Now, I'm going to fill this spreadsheet out a lot more for this particular niche. So when we come back and look at it, it's going to have a lot more tabs and data and stuff in it. And then we're going to start to look at, well, when you've got this big list, then what are you pulling out of that? What does that mean? How am I going to use it? I'm going to be trying to sort this by the search terms that I think I need to target, that I think have good value for me. And then I'm going to work out, okay, so if I can see a particular search term, how am I going to target that? Like, what's going to be the landing page for that on my website? And what's the strategy behind that? So we're going to dive into that in a future episode. So keep watching the Corona files to get more on that. I can see we've had a comment come in here from Randy. What's going on, Randy? I'll get this on the screen here. Randy's question is there anything different you would do different if it's not a branded product, like white labeled furniture piece that is not a brand? That's a really cool question, Randy. And thanks for it. Good to see you on here. So the answer to that is there anything that I would do different? Well, I just wouldn't do the branded keyword research for that particular product. I would still do search the root term. So if it's a piece of furniture, for example, what type of furniture is it? So is it a dining table? Is it a bar? Is it a stool? Is it a chair? And what's the specifics of that piece of furniture? If it's a wooden chair that's made from a particular type of wood, let's say it's oak, it's an oak dining chair, I'm going to put that and maybe I'm going to look at some more variations around that than I might with like the one that I've demonstrated, caravan fridge. I'm going to put, brown oak chair into my research tool, dining chair, or I might just start in with dining chair and just get the really basics. So I'm still going to do that level of research. Nothing changes there. But if there's no brand associated with it, then I'm not going to bother putting in, searching up any brand names and determining if there's branded traffic for it, right? Because my traffic targeting is going to be around those generic terms, and in the second stage of the keyword research, I'd be then looking at, that long list of generic terms that's going to come out of that, non-branded terms, which are the ones that I can actually validly target, either with content, with ads, or whatever it is. But I would still go through the process for that product. So thanks very much for that question, Randy. And then, of course, the final thing I will say today is, once again, if you want to get access to the recordings from this session, from any other sessions, watch the videos, get the attachments, go to buildsellgrowrepeat.com/corona-files. So Thanks, guys, for checking in today. I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. And we'll be back tomorrow with the next episode of the Corona Files. Take care. See you all later.